gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Universal Lens. Happy New Year, right? We haven't done one in the New Year?
Energy.
We haven't done one in the New Year, have we?
Energy. No, this is the first one.
Oh, okay. I have a little bit of a head cold, so excuse my nasally voice.
Happy 2024, everybody.
Now Henry gets to walk around saying 2024. In
How'd you know?
In 2024.
You knew.
Yeah, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back.
Yes.
And for all the new guys.
Hopefully another year. Another fun year. Year 2. We started in 2022, actually.
Yes, we did.
We started in November 2022. So this is actually the third. No, it can't be. Whatever.
This should be our second fiscal year.
It's our second fiscal year, yes. Oh.
Yeah.
So welcome back, everybody. Thank you for coming back and joining us. I hope you've enjoyed our previous episodes and everything we've been speaking about lately. The topic will not be changing. So I hope you enjoy it because it'll be the same.
We're a one-trick pony.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not a one-trick pony. What we are is we're convinced about the effects of mindfulness and about how basically, becoming conscious. And by the way, it's a figure of speech when I say you're talking to somebody who's unconscious. When you traveled the road, you kind of tend to identify people as, that guy is conscious. That guy, unconscious. You just learn how to identify them. You learn how to pick it up with clues. And by the way, some people don't know. Like, let's say you have a conscious person and they never, let's say, practically practice mindfulness. They don't even know what it is. You have that. And, some people are like that. And you just pick up on it. Like, it's interesting. But even still, they have some, unconscious qualities about them because nobody's 100%, let's say perfect.
No, nobody's 100% conscious because we are human.
Shit. That's exactly what we're talking about.
We're human. And we can't forget the humanity part of this because I know we talk about a lot of, mindfulness and allowing thoughts to be there, allowing emotions to be there. And which is all 100% true. It's great. It's helpful. It's a great place to be. But don't forget the humanity part of it, right? So if you're doing this, if you're practicing this, as I do, as Henry does, don't forget the humanity part of it because we are human. And in that humanity, you're going to feel, you're going to experience things,
It's something that it's a practice. It's not exactly because again, I think as humans we tend to think in terms of black or white. We never think in terms of sometimes black, sometimes white, sometimes gray, and then everything in between. And so what does that mean?
My ears are clogged, so I'm going to keep one off.
So what does that mean? It means is like the way we're kind of programmed or the way we're kind of talked to, communicated to today is either you're fat or you're skinny.
Yeah, like no in between.
Right?
Right, yeah, no in between.
Either you're stupid or you're smart, right? Either you're rich or you're poor.
Yeah, gotcha.
Right? So, and either you got the hottest iPhone or you got the flip from the
Motorola. The old Motorola's.
Right, and it doesn't work that way. In life in general, it doesn't work that way. Everybody, society tries to pigeonhole us and put us in a corner and say you're either here or here. And the truth is that you see us and we impart experiences, wisdom, basically our tales of what we've been through. And as you see us here and we meditate and we consider ourselves very conscious, very present, very aware people.
We are human.
We're human. We do the same thing that a human would do because we're human. So
we feel, we trip up, we slip up.
Right. So I still struggle every day with...
Well, I wouldn't say struggle.
Right. Meaning
I still experience.
Very simple. I experience the human condition every single day of my life. So I may have an issue, right? I may have an issue with my son. I may have an issue with my wife. So just because I practice mindfulness doesn't mean I don't have these issues. Doesn't mean I don't encounter them.
Because you're a human being. As long as you're a human being, you're gonna have those issues.
And just yesterday, me looking at me, I didn't fly off the handle, but yeah, I got.
You had a human experience.
Yeah, and so I share that only to basically say it's okay if you have that. It's okay that you started meditation and you haven't done it in 4 days. Well, since you're watching this show, hey, pick it up, do it again. That's it.
Yeah, you can't
get back at it.
You can't forget that human part of it. You can't, right? Because if we do, and this is us saying this to try to make everybody out there understand that people will go on social media and they'll see Eckhart Tolle, they'll see Sadhguru, they'll see Dr. Joe Dispenza, they'll see, I don't know, give me another name.
Oh,
Bob Proctor.
Bob
Proctor. I mean, you can go on. And any Tony Robbins, any
that's a good one.
Motivational speaker, any person of spirituality that you could think of a name, Jesus Christ. Throw him in the mix too.
He's good. Right? He's on Facebook.
Yeah. JC, the OG.
JC, OG.
The OG. JC, the OG. Underscore. So it's when you look at those people, you don't see the human part of them.
Yeah.
Because they're not showing it there. They're only showing the watch this, do this, be this, act like this, experience this. Yeah. So you don't see the behind the scenes if they're if they're experiencing this human discomfort. And everybody does. So our goal today is to show you and to let everybody understand that no matter how conscious you are or how aware you are, yes, it makes it 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
So you want to be here or you want to be living your life like this, but it doesn't mean you don't experience the humanity or the human part of yourself, because you always will. Right. And if we haven't in the last 57 episodes made that clear, and I think we always have, because we've had episodes where we said, I feel anger, I feel anxiety, I feel things. It's not that they're not there, we just navigate through them. But even when we say that, there are times where those feelings or those thoughts or those emotions might be stronger. The mind has its own agenda at times. So we're here to make the audience understand that, hey, if you're practicing and you have a period of peace, which is great, enjoy it. But then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled from underneath you for some reason, and you think you've fallen back or you think you've started from square one. You're not. It feels like you are, but you're not. You're not. And we're here to tell you that, hey, look, it happens to us, right? I recently had a blip in my, and I told Henry about it. I had a blip. I started experiencing a little tinnitus. Same time I was having some sleep issues. The cold has nothing to do with it. And it for some reason, I don't know what it gave me a little bit of anxiety again. And time out. It made me experience a little bit of anxiety again. And when the rug got pulled, I started to grab on right away. So I'm human too. But I'm able to navigate through that using the tools that I know, my experience in this, whether it's via meditation or just watching my thoughts and everything we speak about. You start to see that even when it feels like it's in your face, you're still separate from it. So if you're going through something right now and you're like, hey, yeah, guys, but you guys talk about it, you make it sound so easy. And it's like, you're human. You're allowed to be human. And if you are, give yourself some self-compassion. Don't beat yourself up when your mind's already giving you something to chew on or wants to. It's dangling a carrot saying, come on. Don't beat yourself up at the same time, because there's no reason. That the beating yourself up it has no purpose, no benefit, no nothing. That's your mind coming back in with another story. So that story, let it go. Like if your mind's saying, see, John, you thought you had it together. You thought you were like some freaking guru, John. Well, watch this. And now if I sit there and I believe that, what's it going to do to me? It's going to make me act and believe and think that everything I've done in the last 7 years was for naught, which isn't true. So, hey, thank you, mind. I appreciate what you want to do, but I'm still watching you. I'm still here experiencing you. I'm not you. As uncomfortable as it might be at times. right? So like that honesty, I hope it comes through the camera and it comes through the voice and everything, and you guys understand that. Don't forget you're human, and if you experience that, if you not if when you experience that humanity, you're alive. That means you're actually alive and living on this planet. So if you like, it's easy for us to watch these spiritual teachers and watch all these people and believe that they don't experience anything, but we're not behind closed doors with them. We don't know. I can guarantee you all of them experience things at one level or another, right? They're humans. They will experience things. I'm not saying they have like, oh my God, their lives are messes. I'm not saying their lives are a mess, but they're not void of emotions or feelings or anxieties. They just see them differently when they come up, the same way we try to see them differently when they come up.
There's two guys. There's two guys, two gurus that I have witnessed, and I only mention these two because I witnessed them. But I guarantee you, as the sun sets and rises every day, every single one of them has probably told the story. I just haven't been witness to it. Bob Proctor and Tony Robbins.
Oh, really?
I heard them both say a similar thing of what we're saying.
I never heard that.
Both of them.
Please share.
Both of them. No, so like Bob Proctor. Well, Tony Robbins is modern, so I can't tell you exactly, where he said that, but
just
he definitely says that something along those lines. But Bob Proctor, remember, he has said in the past, he said, the sun's not going to shine every day. You don't feel like every day is a
great day,
right? What I say, a 10, right?
Yeah, you wake up and the world's in the palm of your hands.
Exactly. He goes, no, not every day is like that. That's just being human. Nobody has to understand the why, the how. Just very simple. That day, you just weren't feeling it, and it happens. But there's a practice that I learned with Bob Proctor. Dispenza talks about it a lot, which is write it down. Write it down.
Write what? Write the block you're having, or
not the block, but the issue. The act of writing is basically part of a therapy. Okay. So in the case of manifestation, you're going to write it down. Don't think about it. Write it. And Bob Proctor, I told you he made the case for writing down every day your goal and carrying a goal card. And so why do I bring this up? Because I'm going to talk about myself. So I'm trying to get, my career. My career is basically driving a car like Stevie Wonder on the Indy 500. Yeah. So no matter what kind of day I have, my goal writing is a practice that I do every day.
Really? So you're writing your goals down. Right. That's what I was getting at before. Okay.
So no matter if I woke up a 10 or a 1, it's getting written. That goal's getting written.
You just write down. Is it like the same piece of paper you keep writing it on, or is it just a piece of paper you write?
To tell you how I do it,
yeah,
I have a notebook, and on that notebook, I make a date, almost like a date of a journal entry.
Like a journal entry.
And my goal, my date, and like a mental page every day.
But is it the goal for the day, or the goal?
My goal.
Your North Star. Your North Star.
My goal. I haven't broken it down into weekly, daily, monthly, short-term.
No, I think it could be a lot. Yeah,
I have those. Yeah, but it's almost like
that can become time consuming. Also,
the big one. And the reason for the big one is for reasons we've mentioned in the past, but I'll say it again because not everybody watches every episode. But very simple. If you write down what you want to manifest or what your goal is, you will slowly be drawn to it by the levers and magnets of life in what you do. Like, you're not going to write down that you want to lose 80 pounds every day and still, scarf down, 40 bags of Cheetos.
No, there has to be actions that you take.
So in just having that as your North Star, you tend to do things that is going to gravitate you towards your goal. And because I speak to you, gravitate you towards your goal. I have no idea what that looks like. Nobody has any idea what that looks like. Bob Proctor, when he's talking to you and he says to you to write that goal, he says, "You're going to tell me," because he's got this wacky way of talking. It's captivating. He goes, "You're going to tell me, but Bob, I don't know how I'm going to get there because I don't know." Nobody asked you to figure out the how. I want you to put the what. We'll worry. The how will come up
on its own.
And it's funny because that's
awesome.
That's kind of right, because I don't have the rule book. It's kind of how it happens. It's very hard to explain, but that's kind of how it happens.
Well, I don't think it's that hard to explain. I mean, what's so?
Because I you know how I always said your block was the money, my block was the non-believer. I always have a non-believer in front of me critiquing me. And so that's why I say it's hard to explain, because he doesn't understand, he doesn't believe me. So you get it because you get it. But I always have this invisible non-believer in front of me that I'm trying to convince. I'm trying to show that, these are good things. These
you could do it, yeah.
Right. So that's why I say it's hard to explain, because at the end of it, like at the end of the tail end of the route, go ahead and explain to somebody this. And somebody's going to tell you, dude, what the hell are you talking about? I heard heard a wealth coach. I think I told you about this. And the wealth coach said, part of wealth building is there's a spiritual side to this.
Okay.
And he says, I know I'm going to lose some of you.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, so even he said, I know I'm going to lose some of you because there's a spiritual side to this. And I think a lot of us are walking around out there completely ignoring the spiritual side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that.
And that's what I mean by blindness or unconsciousness is, to them, it's, how do I say, egocentric, in the sense they're attached to their reality and their problems and their life, and this world sucks because that's what they've experienced, and that's where they're stuck, right?
That's where they're stuck, yeah.
And shit, 5 months ago I was stuck there, but I do work, so I was only stuck there for a moment. I do work. You can only get stuck there for a moment. You do work, but we're human, so we're gonna have those times. But just imagine not doing what we do, not attaching to the ego, not meditating, not knowing what it's like to curb your vocabulary so that you don't fall into negativism. You stay in positivism, because it's very easy to fall into negativism.
Yeah, sure. Your mind will take you there very quickly if you're not careful.
So it's hard for the layman who doesn't practice this to even understand what in the world we're talking about without sounding, as that one wealth coach was talking about, shishi foo foo. Like, I know I sound very woo woo. Because I know I sound very woo woo. He goes, but you got to have love in your life. You got to have something you love, something there's a spiritual component to this whole thing.
There is, absolutely there is. And tapping into that is important, and trusting that it's there even when you're going through something a little difficult is comforting. It's knowing that there is something greater than, like, that detachment, which so in acceptance commitment therapy they call it diffusion, where you diffuse, where you actually detach from the thought, diffusion, right? And that's very important, because now all of a sudden whatever you're experiencing isn't you. It's something it's not happening to you, it's happening through you. And that is a sense of, like, even when you say it, all of a sudden there's a sense of, well, this isn't happening to me, it's happening through me. So now it's not me that this is happening.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, well, hold on a second. What do you mean? Like, whatever's going through your life is not happening to you right now? On a practical, physical level, yes, I guess it's happening to me, but in a more spiritual, or, listen, there's more to life than just, these hands and these toes and this body and what I can feel, smell, and touch and see, is that spiritual essence that says to you, whatever's happening is happening to this body, but not to the one that's watching it happen. Like the awareness, the watcher, the one that sees everything happening. Like, and this is what we were really into this in the beginning in our early episodes. That's where that detachment becomes a lot exponentially greater when you're like, well, this isn't happening to John. It's happening to John, but it's not happening to who John really is. So all of a sudden I'm watching this happen and I don't have to attach to it. Like, it's here and I'm here. It's here and I'm here. And we could coexist because I need to be in this body in order to experience life, but it's not happening to me. In other words, I'm not taking it personally.
That has pain attached to it.
Yeah.
That one, this option has pain attached to it. This other option, less.
There'll be less. So you'll notice the pain, but you won't be the pain.
Right.
You notice the pain, but you won't be the pain.
And that's kind of why we experience the pain in the first place, because we are the pain. But once we realize you're not the pain, or you're not that event, the scarring, whatever it is, once you realize you're not that and you have a choice to disengage from it, it's eye-opening. It's a little bit...
Yeah, no, I agree. It is, absolutely, 110%. It is.
And the funny part is, as we learn, it applies to anything. It applies to anything. And as much as we know it, we're still going to be human, and we're still going to trip up and fall into it. But I tell you, we can fall into certain attachments. We can fall into certain, there's like predicaments that we find, we kind of lost our way. We didn't lose our way. It's just that it takes a moment for us to realize, I attached to that, and I didn't notice I attached to it. And then you notice that you attached to it, and that noticing, as you said, well, that's it. You know it. You noticed it. So therefore, you're going to be able to live a little bit better, if I can even say that, but be a little bit happy or be a little bit more content with your situation, because attaching to it is just super painful, and staying attached to it is just digging yourself into the hole.
Yeah, yes, that's probably the best way to put it.
And no matter what it is,
you just dig a hole.
No matter what it is. I mean, obviously, things have grades to it, right? I like I've always said, I could think of the worst thing that could happen to me, and it's going to take a lot of practice to get out of that. But for the most part, what happens to us on a daily basis is not always a 10. Sometimes we make everything a 10.
Oh, we tend that's when you attach to something. So, like, what is a 4 or a 3, and on a nuisance level, we make a mountain out of a molehill, right?
And that's usually what happens.
Yeah.
So your usual 2 or 3 is your traffic. We've spoken about before, your traffic situation that we turn into a 10. Well, partially because you want to be attached to that. That's the truth. You want to be attached to that because,
or you want some sort of justification, or your mind is telling you, "Hey, listen to me," or it wants to complain about something, and that urge to want to do that, while it feels good for a brief minute, just brings more of that up. So basically, all you're doing is you're feeding the wrong. And actually, the book I was reading that Michael Acosta sent me by Muji, I forgot the name of the Vast something it's called. I forgot the name of the book. He says that in one part of the book. Remember we said, which wolf do you feed? He's like, there was and this was the example he gave, in Trafalgar Square, which is in London.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, right? There's a big thing where they feed the pigeons there. And I did that once. And it got to the point where the pigeons were pooping over everything. So they had to figure out a way. It's a civilized country, so they're not going to go kill thousands of pigeons. So they said, stop feeding the pigeons, and the pigeons won't come back. And these are pigeons who do this for years. Within 2 weeks, not a pigeon to be seen. Pigeons started showing up in different towns. And he used that example to say, if you stop feeding it, the animal, the issue, the problem, the mental rumination goes away on its own. You're not pushing it. You're not killing it. You're not forcing it. We stop feeding it, and those pigeons stop coming back. You stop feeding those thoughts or the urge to complain, or the urge to seek reassurance, or the urge to whatever, tell everybody about what's going on in your life and how horrible things are and why this is a pain. All that does is invite more of it. Oh, those pigeons are going to tell more of their friends. Come on, they're feeding us over here.
The attention.
The attention. Stop feeding it. And what happens is on its own.
It atrophies.
Yes. Not that the issue you had disappears. Your mental, and I'm not talking about the issue. I'm talking about the mental attachment to it goes away. So I was at my mother's house a week ago. And I've had the tinnitus it comes and goes, right? And this one day, like right now, it's a little loud. I don't know if it's because of my cold or whatever. But I was at my mother's house, and it was a lot of people. So when there's a lot of people, I have to go for the hearing and check it out. Anyway, I felt like it was something to get a little active, and it was kind of annoying, right, that it was there. And I'm sitting there and I'm engaging in conversation, and all of a sudden I did this. I just closed my eyes for a second. And I said, "You are here, the noise, and I'm here." And also I started having conversations with it in the background, but it wasn't attached to me anymore. Now I haven't been able to do that constantly. But I know that I can do that because I was able to experience this detachment from it. I stopped feeding that voice that said, I want you to just stop so I can concentrate on what I'm doing. I don't need you to stop to concentrate on what I'm doing. You could be there while I concentrate on what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not saying it's pleasant when it gets really bad. It's if it's there, it's there. When it's not, it's great.
That's work, though. That's work.
But it's really not as hard as it sounds.
For you. Go ahead and do that.
Well, Dr. Stephen Hayes, who the man who basically invented acceptance commitment therapy, has tinnitus. And I read an article of his when he went years ago about it, and I kind of reread it not too long ago. And he said, he goes, for years I was suffering with this. He goes, and I realized my life's work. Let me apply acceptance to this. Like it never dawned on him to do that. And because he was so caught. And that's the guy. Right? That was the guy. Like Dr. Stephen Hayes he and other people, but he was the main person who put acceptance commitment therapy together. And he says, he goes, for 2 years. He goes, I'm going batshit crazy. He goes, and then one day, he goes, I had a thought that says, why don't I just put a bullet in my head, right? And he goes, wow, that's funny. That was a suicidal thought. He goes, why don't I? And then it dawned on him. He goes, why don't I apply my life's work of acceptance? He goes, and I did. He goes, the tinnitus didn't go away because he was a big rocker. So he was like in the speakers all the time. He goes, the tinnitus didn't go away. He goes, but now it's not who I am. I don't attach to it anymore. I've accepted that it's there and it's there in the background, like a white noise that eventually you drone out, like the train in the background, the bell that rings every fucking 15 minutes in your house. You don't hear it. Why? Because it's not important. As long as you make it important, you know what you're going to keep hearing? You're going to keep hearing it. That's why I said to you before the show, I said, there's times I don't hear it at all. And I said, I don't know if it's because I'm accepting that it's there or it actually goes down. I go, and I'm not looking to figure that out. I just say, okay, it's there, it's not, it's not. Right? But take that and you can apply it to anything else.
A 20-year veteran husband, wife, she's background noise.
Yeah, I mean, if you deem it important, it's going to be, your mind's is going to keep it on a very high, on a hierarchy. It's going to be up here. We're up here. It's important. It's important. It's important. But if you don't deem it important,
and that works both ways, meaning that works for the negative and the positive. That same attention works for both negative and positive. Meaning, in this case, it's a negative ringing in your ear, but that is what takes your goal and manifests it into reality, not by some great chance, but because you're hyper aware of your goal. And you want to focus on your goal. You don't want to focus on your tinnitus. So because you don't want to focus on your tinnitus, well, it becomes less important.
Yeah.
You want to focus on this, so it becomes more important.
Yeah. I've been in class where I've heard it during class because it'll act up and I'll get so focused on what I'm doing. For 15 minutes, it's like, when I say it's not there, it's like I didn't hear a peep. And then all of a sudden I start to hear it again. And it ebbs and flows in and out. It's really up, and it's a practice, right? It's a practice. This isn't like you don't turn it off where you don't hear it. Eventually you hear the clock ring again. Eventually you hear the train pass again. It's just the way it goes. But if you deem it important, it's going to be, your mind's going to say, hell, don't forget me. It's important. But if I say, I'm going to live my life in spite of you being here, thought, whatever might be happening in your life, whatever it could be, right? All of a sudden, you're proclaiming, you're saying that, hey, I know that you're here. I recognize that you're here. I'm not pushing you away, because that doesn't work either, right? Kicking it out the door doesn't work, because it rolls right back in. Actually rolls in stronger, it knocks the wall down. You want to come along for the ride, but this is where I want my attention and my focus to be, on these things, on this, on that, on the other thing.
Right.
And you keep accepting. That's what we've said this 1,000 times in the show. Acceptance isn't a once and done, right? I've probably fallen prey to that over the last couple of years, where I thought it was a once and done because I got so good at it, but it's not a once and done.
Yeah.
It's a constant practice, and it's not a practice where you're exhausted doing it. It's very simple. You're here.
Yeah.
You're here. So what's the point of fighting you? And all of a sudden, it starts to, the issue doesn't seem as important all of a sudden. And 10 minutes later, it might come back and be like, but John or but Henry, thank you.
It's a practice.
I know you're here, but I'm going to engage in what I'm doing anyway. And you keep doing that over time. You keep accepting. And I said this before, right? You keep accepting, not expecting. Difference. Acceptance is different from expecting. We expect something to stop because I'm expecting. Does not work. I can tell you that won't work. If you expect an issue to go away, or a thought to go away, or a ruminating thought to go away, or word to go away, because you're accepting it, I'm expecting you to leave me alone now. Because I'm accepting you, your mind doesn't work that way. Your mind isn't built like to obey that command. It's gonna be like, no, John, I'm here to protect you. So I have to let you know. You keep accepting without expecting it to go away. Eventually your mind on its own realizes and forms a new neural pathway to say, well, this isn't important to John. We might remind him once in a while about it, because certain old, behavioral thoughts or patterns or just things that you've absorbed in life, are reactive and they're going to come back, but it's not going to come back as often. So something that would bother you, if it was an obsessive compulsive sort of thing, it would bother you every day. All of a sudden, it's once a week. Then it becomes once every 2 weeks. Then the thought is maybe once every 3 weeks. Now you're noticing that you don't have the thought for a couple of months, but then the thought comes back. So it's not expecting that thought or that issue to disappear completely. The whole time I've been talking to you in the last 2 minutes, I didn't hear it at all, because I was focused on you.
Yeah.
Now I hear it again.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not that, see, I just did Henry. I accepted it. Go away.
Right.
Wait. Nope. That's not how it works. And when you realize that, like even me, like it makes me feel good to say it. Like when you realize that accepting something, it's like taking a backpack off and going like this. Okay, I'm not going to carry you. I'm going to put you down. If you want to grow your own legs and walk with me, fine, but I'm not carrying you anymore. So you're not on my back. I'm free and clear of you. But I understand that you're going to roll along. You're going to drag your ass behind me. Okay, you could drag your ass the rest of my life behind me. I'm not picking you up again. Like, that's the choice you get to make. I'm not picking you up. And I'm not picking you up isn't your mind. It's not it's the awareness that's, without saying it, is just doing it, right? It's like we always said, awareness isn't a voice. It's not a thought. When it's a thought, it's your mind, right? Like if your mind comes and goes, I'm accepting this. I'm accepting this. I'm accepting this. That's your mind telling itself, I'm accepting this. The acceptance is you learn the tools, and then you just kind of sit there and go, this is where I want my focus to be. And you visual. It's almost a visualization where you go, you're here. I'm here. I'm going to do what I have to do. You can come along. And what facilitates that to happen is the awareness. This higher consciousness that's seeing John or Henry separate himself from that nagging thought and saying, well, I'm going to focus on what I have to do today anyway, even though that thought is there. So Henry is now separated himself. Here's a thought that says, Henry, listen to me. Henry, listen to me. Henry, listen to me. Right? And Henry's like, well, I'm going to be here. Henry's using his mind to focus on his white guy who does stuff that he's doing for real estate or something he's doing for work or something else. Okay, great. But what's seeing that all happen? What's seeing that all happen? Because you're noticing, like I could...
The same, well, not the same, but you.
The true you. So you're noticing, I'm shifting my focus here. I'll use my example. The tinnitus is here, right? The ringing is here. Okay, the ringing is here. I'm focusing here. But what's seeing what's seeing me go, I'm focusing here and the tinnitus is here. There's a third party in it. And it's not really a party. It's what sees it all, right? It's our awareness, our consciousness, our what we actually are. This thing that sees us experience this. So you get to notice yourself doing that. And then you kind of meld back in and you become part of the mind that's focused on what you want to do. And that issue disappears for a while. But it might come back. So it's not about expecting something to go away because you're accepting. I should coin that. I should make sweatshirts. Don't expect.
Accepting is not expecting is not accepting.
Yes, expecting is. I should make sweatshirts. Expecting is not acceptance. It's not accepting or something like that. But it's not. And when you, I think like that came up to me when I was having a talk with who was I telling about it? No, I think it was myself. I just came up with it. Oh, I told Dr. Tatiana about it. I was talking to her last week. Right? We had a conversation. I was talking to her, and I mentioned, I go, it's about not expecting. I go, it's about accepting, not expecting. And she looked, she goes, wow. She goes, I love that. She goes, that's so true. She goes, you're not expecting something to change. You're accepting it as it is. And in accepting it as it is, sometimes it changes on its own. She goes, that's great. So I mean, that's like something that came up to me last week, and I was like, I want to talk about this week. You know,
I get a visual when you talk, right? So I guess I'm visual.
Yeah.
And I get this visual in my mind. You know the famous scene of the Last Supper?
Yeah, when they're all at the table.
Everybody has that, right? You can look at it right now in your mind, which is another freaky thing. Where is that?
I don't know.
Right. Anyway, so picture the
Vatican.
Picture the Last Supper, and there's a bunch of people seated at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. You are God. He's not
seated at the table.
But you are God. So
he said it, not me.
And your wife's like,
yeah, something like that.
Nah, but so you in this example, you're God, and you decide, or better yet, Judas decides, I'm gonna live in God's head, or I'm gonna be the one God's gonna listen to. Hey, God, you know what? And God's listening to Judas, but God has Peter, Paul. He even has Jesus Christ there. So God can say, Judas is yapping away, but Paul, what is it that you wanted to say? And you're focusing on Paul. And that's it. In a nutshell.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because you're God. Because you're not in the picture.
No, you're not in the picture. You're above watching.
You're above.
You're watching it happen.
Then you come down. Then you're Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's true.
That could be one of because I always said there's parallels between religion.
Oh, huge parallels between like aware mindfulness.
So many.
Eastern spiritual teachings in general, right? Like Eastern
so many
Buddhism and stuff like that, and mindfulness.
Just think about it. We never, as Catholics, we never see God. We know He exists, but the only thing we see
we believe He exists.
Correct.
We believe He exists.
There you go.
Oh, you could know. You could have a knowing. Yeah, I guess.
No, but in faith in general, we believe in God. We just can't see Him. But you know who we could see? He sent us His Son.
Yeah.
We are Jesus. So we are God.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah, and that's exactly what this is. We are. We are the one who's on this planet.
The watcher.
The watcher with our feet on the floor, experiencing things. And so when you say that, if something inside of you resonates, then you know that you're connected to something above. Like, and it's not a feeling of, okay, there is something like, oh my God, make me feel better. There's something. No. It's not about life after death. Like, it's about saying we are connected to something greater. And when I say that, like something inside me vibrates. It's like a vibration I get almost. Like not a physical vibration, but like I can feel something inside me resonate and vibrate. Like yes, there is something beyond all this. Yeah, there is something beyond all this because things aren't by chance. Like I know there are some people who believe it. I forgot what the word. There's a word for it when people think there's no meaning for anything. Things just happen by chance. Yes, things happen by chance in life. I get that, but in like overall, like the way this world is, the way the universe is, the way like we're the only people, we don't know if anybody else ever exists, the way we create technology that mimics kind of the way the mind works, and the way a tree's roots underground are like the veins in somebody's body that run through. Like there's so many connections to, to point to, right? I don't want to say explain or to say it's a fact, but to point to say something greater than us exists. And if you could tap into that, you don't take your life too seriously.
Yeah.
You don't take your life too seriously.
The parallels are crazy.
But John, that doesn't solve my financial issue. Right. That doesn't solve my health issue. I get that. But that's on the physical level. That's on a practical level. But your practical issue, which is work, life, health, whatever, right? We always said, no matter who you are, life will never give you a short. Life will never leave you short of things to deal with. Like it's always going to do that. It doesn't matter. No matter what's happening, it's not happening. Like I said before, it's not happening to you. It's happening through us. Like there's something greater than. And the people who are attached to their minds completely and their identity, like I am John Emilio, they're gonna and time out before I go any further. That happens to me also. I do attach to John Emilio because, like we said in the beginning of the show, I am
human. He
is
a robot.
A robot. But we're human. And if we weren't human, like then we would be divine, which we're not. But we're human, so we attach to those too. But people who are truly unconscious and don't have any awareness at all, they suffer the most because every day they believe whatever is happening in life is happening to them.
Yeah. And
it's got to be corrected and it's got to be fixed. And why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? Okay, that happens to all of us. It happens to me. I will have my moments in life, whenever it is. I will have my trip ups. I will have my slips where I attach to the mind and I play the complain why me card for 5 minutes. Oh, and then I realize what I'm doing, and I come back out of it. Right? I come back. I try to watch it happen instead of attaching too hard and going for a ride with it. But if you have no awareness at all, now you're tethered, and wherever it goes, it's taking you.
Yep.
And that could be. Listen, that can be painful. It can be very painful. I mean, I know there's a lot of very strong-minded people out there, but we're not in their heads either. We're not in their heads, right? Just because they're quiet and stoic doesn't mean that they're not suffering inside.
Yep. I learned that too.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they're not suffering inside.
I watched my mom pass away, and she passed away at a young age, 54. I watched her be so attached that it was an eternal suffering. It was an eternal suffering.
Really?
Oh my God. And I think that even when she passed, I mean, shortly after she passed, I'm like, you know what? Not that this is the best thing that could have happened, because she was sick. She had dealing with cancer, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was at that point on a physical level of the person suffering.
But,
like that, physically suffering, I mean.
There is a level of suffering that is too much. She was there.
Physically or mentally, you're talking about?
Both.
Well, both. I mean, yes. Listen, when the body gives way, it gives way. You hope that it's a smooth, a painless transition. And thankful for medicine, there are ways that they can make that happen.
But like I watched the mental side of things. How they took hold. But then I realized she's been like this forever.
Even at the very end? I mean, I'm not trying to get deep into it. Even at the very end, because usually,
oh my God, John, especially
people usually when they're that close, there's a release.
That's right. I was hoping that would have been so great.
What happens is the ego strip. I mean, I don't know if it happens to everybody, but the ego strips away, and you just kind of melt into just a oneness, and you just kind of go.
The come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, like the come to Jesus moment.
This is it. All right,
which has happened to a gazillion people before us.
It's time to suspend the crap. Yeah. Everything is useless, worthless compared to what's going to happen to me right now, because I'm about to go. I love you with everything. And done.
And that's it.
No. My mom died with anger, vinegar. Like she died.
Yeah, they were attached to.
But she did me a favor.
She showed you.
She did me a favor. She doesn't know it, but you learn with that, because if you watch that and you don't learn, you're gonna repeat that. you're being silly, and so she was heartbroken. She was done dirty by her husband. She was all these things. She died telling me. Imagine she woke up from a morphine because she was in very bad shape. So her morphine had worn away, and she was able to wake up for a moment. Imagine, just riddled with cancer. And she turned to me, and my nickname is Kike. So she goes, Kike. I'm like, what? She goes, and in English, which is weird. She spoke Spanish more than she goes. We have to get even. On her deathbed.
With who? With him?
With my father.
Oh my God!
And she says, and
she was carrying a lot of pain.
She died with that pain.
Yeah.
That was the love of her life. He.
Yeah, listen, I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I'm not going to try.
But anyway, yeah, but that's what happened. And that's a lot of pain. She talk about.
That's like my grandmother my grandmother who died at 96, 97, but she got dementia at like 88, 89. My grandmother her whole life would tell everybody, don't let me die, don't let me die, don't let me die, don't let me die. She had such a fear.
Wow.
Such a fear. And I get like fear of death. I understand that on a practical level. Believe me, I get that.
Yeah.
But such a fear, such a tight grip on holding on to life that even like when her body wanted to give up, like she just like this, there was something in her that she was basically a vegetable for like 6 years, where she was in a bed and just like blank stare because she had dementia, but her heart wouldn't quit. Like her heart wouldn't quit.
So the shell was good.
The shell was good, but she was holding on to life so hard, but not in a positive way. In a way of I can't let this go because I don't want like that's painful. That's very painful. I mean, so yeah, no, that's
So in general, for example, I learned from that, and I think I subconsciously learned from that, and I think that's what kind of drove me here, in the sense she as much as our parents have influence on us, you can imagine I must have had some genetic predisposition, some the environmental predisposition, or in terms of picking up on the anxiety, how to act when times get tough, right?
That's where a lot of my bad habits came from.
So,
well, a little bit have a lot of these anxious habits.
But guys like us, I mean, we found each other, but guys like us, we feel something is not right, and we want to change that. We want to address that. And there are people that say, we feel something's not right, but that's how life is, and they stay in that room. And
instead of realizing there's a very easy way. I don't want to say out, but there's a very easy way to disconnect from that, to unplug from that. No,
you know what? I'll take your word, and I'm going to say it is easy because, quite frankly, anybody and everybody can do it.
Sure, because everybody has access to it.
But you got to realize that it's work. It's not easy in the sense, done, we're plugged, done. No. As we stay let's wrap it up where we started. It's not black or white. It's every day. And there's shades
of it. It's not good or bad.
And there's shades of it all up and down,
Like you said, Bruce Lee, right? Be water.
Yeah. Before we started, I don't think I said it.
No, you didn't say it on the show. Be water. Like, water in this bottle of water, it's going to be shaped like the bottle. If I pour it into a round bowl, the water becomes the bowl. If you pour it into a square container, it becomes a square. It's a triangle. If you pour it on the floor, it gets flat. Be like water. Just what life gives you, adapt to it. And adapting to it means, Eckhart Tolle says this. He goes, this is happening. So he goes, so why not accept that it's here? Is this happening to you? Yes. So what point is not accepting that it's here? Like, what's the point of not accepting it?
It's tough to accept.
Yeah, no. But so it's happening, correct?
Yes.
Can you change this?
No.
Can you leave this? No. So change it. He says three things. But these are like three rules I had. Can I change it? Can I leave it? If I can't do either of those two, right? You accept it. So you could change it, meaning something's happening in your life. You could physically make an adjustment to change it. Okay, then you should do that. Can you leave it? Abusive relationship, a toxic workplace. Can you leave that workplace? Can you leave that situation you're in? Or you're in a place where you don't like the vibe, or you could actually leave. Yes, okay, then leave. But if you can't do either of those things, acceptance will give you the same freedom that the first two will, because you're just not going to. It's saying, I'm just not attached to this. Now again, it's the accepting part. It's not, when you leave something, you leave it, you left it. You change it, you change it, you change it. Acceptance, you accepted it, you keep accepting it as long as that situation is still present in your life.
And I think there's another thin little layer on top of that, which is, what is it? Can you change it?
Change it, leave it.
Leave it?
If not, accept it.
Okay. I can't change it. I can't leave it. I accept it. But I'm going to accept and pivot and make it,
So you can accept it and try to change it.
No.
But the point is, if you can't change it in that moment,
right,
let's accept it now.
Because
and then we can work towards changing it.
Because most of these things are have a negative connotation, because otherwise we wouldn't want to change it, or we wouldn't want to leave it.
Yeah, no, it's for pain and suffering in life.
So the way I look at it, right? I mean, God forbid, any illness. So, for example, my mom. We talk about my mom. So she was ill. So she couldn't leave it. She couldn't change it.
No,
she couldn't accept it.
She didn't accept it. Yeah.
But if she would have accepted it and would have pivoted, be like, you know what, we're going to use this as a force for good, and this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to dedicate, myself to do this and help this and do that and do the other thing. And before you know it, you just pivoted something and you turned it into such a great positive. And I think that's the extra flavor on that, because I think you could take most negative situations and look at you, right? You were OCD, and this anxiety, just, you didn't know what was happening, what the hell's going. You accepted it,
and then
you added that layer.
I worked on changing it. Yeah,
but then you added that layer of turn it for good. Now,
yeah, I got what you're saying.
You understand? Like,
do the podcast, the book, and all that other stuff, all the advocate work. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying is, you have that opportunity to. It's like It's again Aikido. The energy was coming at you in the beginning, but all of a sudden you took the energy, and you knew.
It's like a bullfighter. You just olay it and go.
You knew how to, you took a few horns.
But it's going to come back at you, because that bull's going to come back at you. You just olay it again.
That's right.
It's you don't try to stop the bull. You allow the bull to pass you by. Right? I mean, look, I know it sounds easy with our little metaphors and how we say it, but I can say at the beginning of the show, acceptance is something you constantly do. Not like it's exhausting, because it's not exhausting. It's a subtle reminder that, how do you want to live your life? No matter what's happening. And you don't have to be happy. Like, there are going to be things that are going to happen in people's lives that, of course, you're not going to be happy that you have a disease, or happy that you have something happening in your life that's not positive, or not joyful, or not whatever. You don't have to. It's not about that. But you can accept it and live a valued life. Which, and by the way, you'll find. I shouldn't have said joy before. You'll find the joy then. Like, you'll find joy in the moments. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, yeah. So, like, my mind doesn't need to feel happy 24/7. Like, that's where you kind of get trapped, because once it's not, now panic mode. Hold on. We were.
That's a whole nother trap.
It's a whole nother trap.
But one thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time. So, acceptance, accept it, don't expect it. Accept it, don't expect it. And remember, you are human. I am human. Henry is human. We're all human beings. We're all going to experience the ebbs and flows of humanity, the anxieties, and the people who tell you they're not, don't experience any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they must have a hold on that ball on the water that's really tight. I mean, we're all human beings. We all experience things. Certain people are a little bit more sensitive to them, depending on their DNA, right? But, like, anybody can live the life that they want to live. It's your reality. Your personality becomes your personal reality. I love that one too. And it's true. Your personality becomes your personal reality. It does become your person. It doesn't mean your life changes overnight, but also in your relationship with your life changes overnight. Your relationship with the situation changes overnight. Right? And it's still there, the situation, but now, like, yeah, I'm not miserable. Now I'm still able to engage in life and enjoy life or whatever's going on. Yeah. Right? A lot of times all the stuff that people talk about, even that we've talked about, like we make it sound like life's always going to be, life's always going to be beautiful. It's always going to be perfect. It's always going to be great. Butterflies and rainbows. And even, I'll tell people, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. We get over it. That's not the reality of life. Then you're not living life. You're not living life.
Yeah. I'm going to say this for anybody who wants a practical, give me something practical. All right. Don't talk to me about abstract. This is very tactile. You can touch it. You can do it. And I promise you, if you stay true to it, you're going to get good results. But you got to stay true to it. You can't be faking yourself or faking me, right? I learned from Bob Proctor. Again, I got reminded from Bob, and he drew the perfect illustration. This really attached me to it. You can program your subconscious. If you just believe that through the things you read, hear, interact with, you're curating what you want your subconscious to have. So I stopped the news, Twitter, the whole because I don't want that in my subconscious. Yep. So my drive time is positivism.
Listen to people that you enjoy listening to like that.
Any void time is that not. Let me see what's on CNN.
No, same thing. I would listen to Eckhart Tolle. I'll listen to Sadhguru. I'll even listen to Joe Dispenza. I'll listen to Bob Proctor. Now it's on. And it's just
whatever your flavor.
It's just because that's how you reprogram that part of your brain, your subconscious.
Trust me. Just all that negativism, it atrophies because you don't give it attention anymore.
You don't feed it. The pigeons disappear eventually if you don't feed them.
Yeah.
So, all right. That was a good show.
That was. We can do this. We can wake me up at 2:30 a.m. Be like, yo, get up. We got to do a show. Okay, let's go. Because, this is what we love. This is what, again, we suffer from anxiety, experience of we
experience humanity.
That's it.
Leave it at that.
And the simple fact that we're able to navigate through it and say, hey, this is very, very useful. This is very, very practical. Guys, I'm sure you feel the same. And if you do, jump on board and, enjoy the show. Do what we do. I gave a real tip. Again, it isn't mine. I don't even know if it's Bob Proctor. But if you listen to Bob Proctor, just Bob, he has so much positive stuff. Joe, Eckhart, you name it. Even Tony Robbins.
Yeah, look, any of those people. It doesn't have to be somebody we mentioned. You could have your own guru kind of person that you like to listen to.
He's a commercial success. And he's no dummy.
No, he's an intelligent guy.
But let me tell you something. If you listen to what he has to say, you're going to be a decent person. You're going to be good. He talks about hard work.
Yeah.
He talks about discipline.
It'll sink into your subconscious for sure. So anyway, that was a good show. Well, I appreciate everybody listening in.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. I think it's dinner time.
Is it?
It's 6:30.
It is time.
We'll wrap it up.
Let's go get it. In the name of the Father.
All right, we'll do a real quick one because we got to wrap the show up. So we'll do a little quick 1-minute meditation. All right, everybody, if you just close your eyes, let's take a few deep breaths. And whatever you're experiencing in life.
Can you?
No, right now they're open. I don't get it. And then they'll be clogged in 2 seconds again. Let's take a few deep breaths. And just whatever you're experiencing right now in your life, no matter what it is, allow it to be there. Look at it as a friend, not as an enemy. And focus your energy on something that you want to do and how you want to live your life. Right? As you breathe and continue breathing as I'm talking, remember not to expect things to change because you're saying you're accepting them. Acceptance is a practice. We keep accepting constantly, and we stop feeding that wolf. We stop feeding those pigeons. We stop feeding that animal that wants to just keep barking at us. And eventually it quiets down. The issue might not go away, but that's your mental attachment to it that quiets down. And then you can maybe navigate the issue even better. So, I hope you guys took that to heart today in today's show. And as we close up and we take our last couple of breaths here, just remember that awareness that we all have access to is there for our benefit. So practice it as often as you can. Be with it as often as you can. Enjoy it because it's there to help you detach from issues or worries or concerns in life and to be able to see them from a different perspective. Let's take one more last deep breath. Exhale. You can slowly open your eyes. If you want to stay here and do it longer, please do. But we are going to wrap it up, and we will see you guys next week. Peace. The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.